So in today's video, I'm going to give you the one simple budgeting method that completely supercharged my finances. I mean, it completely put it in another dimension you wouldn't believe. And also at the end of the video, I'm going to give you one pro tip that's actually going to make this budgeting method actually work for you instead of something that you try and you fail at. My name is Adrian. I like to talk money. This is alwaystalkmoney.com. I want to help you guys to level up financially and everything else that can get you further to financial freedom. So if that sounds good to you, please consider liking the video, subscribing, and let's get on with the video. Now, before I get into the one simple budgeting method, I want to first answer the question, what is a budget? And to put it in layman's terms, a budget is a plan for your money. You hear me say it all the time. If you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So every single month, it's recommended that you have a budget, which means it's recommended that you have a plan for your money. It means this dollar goes here, that dollar goes there, and so on and so forth. And the thing about money is they're very loyal. They don't talk back. They don't give you issues. All you have to do is tell your dollar bills exactly what to do, and they will do just that. And most Americans, they don't have a budget or a plan for their money. So they always get in trouble. They always rely on credit cards. They always get in other types of debt because the month is longer than what their money is stretching. And that's simply because you don't have a plan. So that begs the question, why is a budget important? It's simply important because you don't want to be in debt. You want to be financially free. You don't want to work a job that you hate. You don't want to have to work nights and weekends and miss valuable time with your family. This is the power of a budget because it can actually give you your life back, right? So this is why a budget is important. It's also important because it lets you know what you can and what you cannot do. That vacation, maybe you can take it, maybe you can't. That new car, maybe you can afford it, maybe you can't. And a lot of people budget by knowing how much is the payments? That's not a good way to budget because you will always run into some life happen stuff that will throw that whole plan out the window. That's why I don't recommend using credit cards or getting a car loan at the car dealership because this is some of the great wealth killers that keeps a lot of Americans poor, along with not budgeting effectively. So if you're one of those people that budget by the payments, oh, let's go to Rooms to Go, get that new sofa. The payment is only $119 a month. That is just not the way to go because what happens is you budget by payments and eventually those high interest rates are going to kick in. And so when you plan to pay this $119 a month or whatever every single month, you don't realize how long 48 months is, and you don't realize how many things can change in your life over the span of this loan, right? And this is what happens to a lot of people. They sign a loan, they say, okay, I can afford it for $119 a month, but you probably could have afforded it for 6 to 8 months, but 9 months later, you got laid off. 9 months later, you realize you're going to have a new baby. 9 months later, you want to move in a new neighborhood, and thus your living expenses has gone up. So it's important that when you budget, you do not use payments. Okay. So now what is this one budgeting method that has completely transformed my finances and my life? Well, it's simply budgeting using percentages. I only use percentages. I never use dollar amounts. Well, Adrian, that sounds so simple. How can that transform your finances? Okay, yes, sure, it sounds simple, but let me tell you why it will transform your finances. Let's say every week you get $1,000, right? And let's say you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to save $200, put it into my savings account every single week. Now you budget that and you have the $200 set aside, but inevitably, like most people, you miscalculated that $200. You have to go back into your savings account because you fell short on groceries. You fell short on some bill that you forgot that you had to pay for, right? Because all you have is payments. You have all these payments, recurring payments. A lot of times these are automatic payments that you don't really remember anything about, right? So you save that $200, but most people, you have to go back into that savings account and get that money back. Consequently, if you use percentages, you say to yourself, okay, every single week, I'm going to save X percent of my paycheck. The beauty of that is as your paycheck increases, your savings rates increase as well. So if you're going to save 5% of your take home pay, whether it's $1,000, $10,000, $100,000 is your take home pay, your savings rate always increase and thus you are saving much more safer. Let me explain. Let's use that saving $200 every single week again. Let's use that example, right? So you save $200 every single week. Now you got a promotion, you got double your salary, right? And what happens is you inevitably upgraded your lifestyle, your home, your car, and so on and so forth. But you're still saving $200 every single week. And so when you have an emergency, that emergency can no longer be a $200 emergency because your life is much more expensive. Now that emergency is a $400 emergency, $500 emergency. And so when you are saving $200 every single month because you're going off of a dollar amount, that money is not going to be enough for an emergency. But consequently, when you got that pay raise and you're always saving 5% of your income, your savings and your savings rate will inflate along with your lifestyle. That 5% might be $200 one paycheck, but when you got a promotion, that 5% of your paycheck could be $1,000. It could be $10,000. However much your money goes up by. And this is what will absolutely transform your budgeting, your money, and everything else. Because if you said to yourself, you know what, I'm only living off 50% of my income, guess what? You have to fit it within that 50% of your income. And no matter what, you find a way to make it work because 50% of your income will always give you a 50% buffer where you are being much more safer with your expenses, your lifestyle inflation, and so on and so forth. Guys, if this video is bringing you value so far, please give a like. Please subscribe to the channel, become part of the family. We make new videos like this every single week. Now, if you do that and you implement the percentage budget, you are going to face some problems. Namely, if you say, okay, I'm going to live off 50% of my income, you're going to realize that your 50K a year salary is just not going to work, right? Because there's no way you can live off of 25K per year. And this is what gets most people in trouble. But also, this is why I love this budgeting method. Because when you're on 50K salary, you can kind of tell yourself, okay, I can save $300 every single month. I can save $250 every single month. And that gives you the false reality of safety when the real problem is 50K in this day and age is just not going to cut it. You need to be making 100, 150K to be realistic. And so when you have the percentage budget, you say, okay, I want to live off 50% of my income. Automatically, that brings you down to 25K. Automatically, that adjusts your mindset and your spending to know that, okay, well, if I want to live off 50% of my income, I need to be making 100K, 125, 150K, because at least that will give me a livable wage. And so obviously the next question you're going to ask is, Adrian, well, how am I going to make this budget work for me? How am I going to get to the point where I can live off 50% of my income? Well, it's simple. You have to increase your income. You have to find some way to increase your skills, build a business, start a side hustle. I know it's something that a lot of people are saying these days. I know it sounds cliche, but we cannot deny the fact that wherever you are right now financially, if you're working a 9 to 5 or whatever the case may be, you know that if you're at 50, 60K and you have a family, you just know it's not enough. So me telling you, get a side hustle, start a business, or find some other way to increase your skills so you can get a higher paying job, it's no surprise to you. But a lot of times people need to hear this from somebody else. A lot of times people need to hear it from outside of their mind because you might be thinking it in your mind, but nobody has verbalized it to you, especially if you're around a lot of people who are in your same position. Instead of saying, okay, I'm going to double my income, triple my income, and make more money, you are there sitting with your friends and other broke people saying, the system is bad, the government is this, we need government assistance, everything is all bad, boo-hoo, woe is me, feel sorry for me, pity party. Now, the pro tip that I told you that I would give you at the beginning of this video, the pro tip to make this budget really work, and it has worked for me, is you have to use multiple bank accounts, not just your checking account, not just your savings account, not just the emergency fund. You need at least 5 to 6 bank accounts to make this stuff really work. You need one incoming account, one account that goes to savings, one that goes to emergencies, one that goes to paying all the bills, one that goes to paying for your fund, and then one that basically covers your investments and so on and so forth. If you are not segmenting your money like this, then what will happen is, like most people, you will commingle all of your money and then you don't know which money is meant for this, which money is meant for that, and it just basically becomes very confusing. And when it becomes confusing and there's no clear plan for your money, then that's where you get into trouble. That's where you overspend, that's where you start relying on credit cards, and that's when you start falling deeper and deeper into debt and thusly going further and further and further away from your financial goals. So if you really want to make this percentage budgeting method work, you really have to institute a plan to use several bank accounts. Me personally, as I said, I recommend using 5 to 6. Let me know in the comments down below what you thought of this video. Like, subscribe, become part of the family, and until next time, I will see you. Peace.